right, hey guys, what's going on? My name's Chris Hawkes, and this is your best life defined. So, what the hell does that mean? What does it mean to live your best life? That seems to be a confusing topic, and I'm not blaming you. I'm probably taking responsibility for that because maybe I just haven't explained it correctly. So, we're going to start again on this one. Let's start talking about. I want to talk about what it means to actually live your best life, so you can gain some perspective. So, think back in your life to something you either are doing now or you've done in the past, but you're no longer doing that. Just you could do it forever. It was just like it's like amazing. It's like energizing. Now I'm talking about something that is there's some requirements for living your best life, and one of them is it can't have a long-term negative effect on your life. In other words, maybe you love to drink vodka every night, but that's probably not going to help you live a long best life, right? So it has to be something that's productive and beneficial globally to your life. But think back to some experience you've had or something you truly enjoy doing that makes you feel great about yourself and makes you want to do it more and more and more, right? You get that feeling, right? You got that feeling, you got that thing picked out. I'll give you a minute. Pick something out. Think about it. Now, living your best life, imagine that feeling. For me, it's playing disc golf. Anytime I make a basket, it's cool. For me, it's doing martial arts or working out when I'm feeling really strong and I'm not injured. Everything is great. That's a really good feeling for me. I can just sit there and hang out and just enjoy, revel in the opportunity to do that. Kayaking is another thing. I love the silence of kayaking, snowshoeing, right? Those all are culminate in a really amazing feeling for me. It feels good to be out there doing that, right? So now you've got that thing in your head. You've got that idea, that vision of what you love to do. Now grab a hold of that feeling and spend the rest of this day trying to replicate that feeling, trying to find that good feeling among all the things you do every day. That's what living your best life is. That is the culmination of living your best life. When your life is driven by the energy created by your choices. Well, most people at this point, most people would say they get kind of defensive because I used to talk about the choices we make. I used to talk about, well, you can't have a house, you shouldn't have a car. Why would you have a big yard? No one likes to mow lawns. That's a story you've heard in the past, right? But that's the wonderful thing about having time to be quiet and to listen and to evaluate what we believe. That view is kind of changed. This whole conversation about living your best life has nothing to do with what you own or the debt you're in or any of that. Living your best life is that feeling that you get from that obligation, from that thing that you have purchased, that thing you have to do, right? I look at my fifth wheel, and for the most part, I feel a sense of contentment, and I actually trust my rig, right? This thing is fine. I maintain it. Is it always great to do repairs on it? No, there's other things I would prefer to do. But overall, I have a positive feeling about the life we've chosen, right? This podcast right here, I'm doing good because I come to the realization that I don't need to give a shit what you think of what I'm doing. That's where I get all stowed up. I start thinking, "Oh my God, what are they thinking of what I'm?" I can't care because I've got too much. I don't only have so much bandwidth, and if I'm going to have bandwidth and I'm going to use it for something, I'm going to use it to lift myself up because that makes me feel good. Engage in activities. So back to you. Think of what you will do throughout your day. How many opportunities are you going to have to muster up that feeling of complete contentment? You know, that thing where you're going, yeah, all right, let's do that. All right, let's try it again. Try it again. Kind of like when you're sitting across the desk from your partner and you're flicking a paper football back and forth, trying to make goals, right? Holding your fingers up, right? That's the culmination of living your best life. Now, the issue of struggle is, and how that ties into living your best life is, it's pretty simple. People climb Mount Everest. Can you imagine the struggle that people who climb Mount Everest face? Any place you hike where you risk the chance of dying and you have to carry oxygen with you, that doesn't sound like a party to me. It doesn't sound like a party. That makes you wonder, well, why the hell do they do it, right? Well, it's that feeling, that sense of accomplishment, that doing what only a few have done, right? I mean, by comparison, when you think about the population of the world, the people who have climbed Everest are a small number of people, right? Granted, it's growing because that's a commercial business now, but it's still a small population. That's what makes someone willing to go do something where they could die. It's because of that feeling. And the more you can feel that, the more energy you have in your tank, and the more sense of accomplishment, and the more limitless your choices become. Because think about it, wins build on wins, right? So how does this apply to you in your life? You're living your best life right now, I guarantee it. And there's probably a chance that your resources of time and money are probably right there even with your life. You have consumed most of your time and most of your finances to the point that you're an autopilot. You're sitting in the middle of your pond. You're not really going anywhere or doing anything. How do you execute the strategy of living your best life? Well, go find that feeling. It can come from anywhere. It doesn't have to be a new house. It doesn't have to be this image that's been painted for us by the media where, fancy, shiny cars and beautiful women. That doesn't necessarily have to be where you get that feeling from. And if you're looking for happiness in the things you buy, just remember that happiness is short-lived. Happiness, buying something new, will give you that feeling, but it doesn't last. If it did, you'd only have one thing, and it would be things you use. The only thing you'd have is things you use. You wouldn't have a garage full of stuff, boxes of stuff that you no longer need. It isn't that you need it, it's that you lost interest in it. That's a cool part about living in a fifth wheel. We only have so much room. So I go back and forth between things I have to see how I'm going to make them work, right? It's about making it fit. So let's say you're grinding it out, you're in debt. What would make your life better? What would generate that feeling of satisfaction, that feeling of contentment, of happiness within you, satisfaction about the struggle you face for the things you want to do? I think tomorrow Sandy and I are going to go snowshoeing, or sometime this week we're going to go snowshoeing, and there's a whole thought process that goes into this where you have to face the struggle of getting ready to go, getting the mindset to go, and then you take the action and you do it. Well, when you're out there in that snow and it's just you and your partner, and the snow is up to your knees, and there's just amazing quiet, just things that you can look at and appreciate, it gives you a feeling of satisfaction, a feeling of contentment. And what's usually gone is the want. When you're not thinking about anything besides where you are and what you're doing, and you're completely in the moment with the people you're with, that's an example of living your best life. Sure, this sucks. It's hard sometimes for me to show up here and do this podcast. But there are times like right now when I'm thinking to myself, damn, I'm nailing it. I feel good about this conversation with you. Living your best life is having a reason to wake up every day. It's a source of fuel for your life. It's a source of energy that says, yeah, I've got to do a lot of sucky stuff, but the outcome is going to be great. An example of that is I did 23 and a half years working in a federal prison. Was it great? Not always. There towards the end, the last 10, 11 years of my career, I actually started looking for the good in that career. Trying to not focusing in on the struggle and the bad, because there was always struggle, but focusing on the good and making that the reason that I face that challenge every day, right? A lot of great guys in prison. I'm sorry, there are friends of mine who hear this podcast and be like, oh man, that guy, yeah, inmate lover, right? Maybe not. There's a lot of valuable people. People have value. Now, not everyone in prison has value. Right? I mean, there's not everyone in prison that I can say that about, but there are a lot of people that are actually just regular people who made bad choices, right? When I started looking at that and started focusing on how I can help them live a better life, guess what? My life got better, and because of the outcome of that, when a guy would be getting ready to get out and he'd come and he'd shake my hand, tell me, thank you, Mr. Jaquez, I really appreciate all the kind words and all your help in getting me lined out. I think I'm going to do better this time. I'm going for that feeling every day. That's why I continue to show up here. That's what I'm talking about when I say live your best life. I'm out there, a group of young kids. I'm out there doing my walk and talk at the park, and somebody hollers at me, and I go and engage them for a while, and I get them laughing because I'm telling them stories about where their greatness is at. And it's funny when you got this group of kids who've been rejected, basically. They don't have any real platform. They don't have anybody inspiring them. And you have someone like me show up and say, hey, dude, no, there ain't nothing wrong with you. You don't have to be like everybody else. You just got to be a lot like you, right? You got to drive forward and push hard and find shit that makes you inspired. One kid asked me, well, how do you do it? How do you just find the energy to get up in the morning? I said, well, you pick shit that makes you want to get up in the morning. That's how you get up in the morning. How do you struggle to learn something you don't know? Well, you pick shit that inspires you. You pick stuff you want to learn to know. There's things you want to master. Well, pick things you want to master and then go for it. And you certainly don't have to be like me, right? That's it. That's it. This isn't a money thing. It is a mindset thing. Living your best life is about picking A or B based on how A or B makes you feel. Does it mean you have to struggle? Yes, you're going to struggle. I had to struggle for my income, but what I did, the struggle that I faced every day was worth the benefit of having that financial freedom to do the things I was able to do. Could I have done more? Hell yeah, I could have done a lot more. I could have been a way better employee. I could have been a way better person. And the only thing I can attribute that to is all things in due time, right? That's the other reason I keep showing up here, is because I believe there are people who will listen to this podcast and not listen to another one for another year. And in a year, I'll continue to work through this. I'll continue to get better at this. I'll continue to refine my message so it's more understandable to most people. And eventually they'll come back and they'll say, yeah, I'm ready for it now. I'm ready to spend more time feeling amazing and great about the things I get to do. And I'm willing to face the struggle it takes to get there. And if I have to work, in my case, in a prison so that I can have the benefits of a nice life, a beautiful home, and the opportunities I have now, hell yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. What are you going to do today to live your best life? What are you going to do? What are you going to change? What action are you going to take that's going to enable a long-term change in your life to where you can look back in a day, a year, a month, whatever, and you can say, damn, it feels good when I do that. I'm glad I started doing that. It's cool. But you have to look for those opportunities. You cannot lose sight of those opportunities based on some idea that you're overwhelmed and there's too much to do or you don't have the time. Pick it, face the struggle, evaluate it, and then go again. Right? Pick it, take that action, and go. Evaluate it, and realign. That's what living your best life is about. Now, the burden that you're going to face, the burden most of us face, is we've been given this blueprint of comparison. We've been our whole life. Think about how old you are and how many times in your life you've been told that this package deal of the fancy house, the big cars, the big debt, working every day, all day, be a hard worker. I'm a hard worker. I work hard, but I work hard at things I love to do. I work hard at things that truly benefit me, right? There's the difference. To change that, add one thing to your life or take one thing away. To change anything about your life, you subtract it. Let's say there's something you don't like. Maybe you don't like spending your weekend mowing the lawn. Well, if you negotiate with your partner and they don't want to mow the lawn, maybe the solution is to have the lawn taken out and put gravel in. It doesn't matter what the neighbors think. It doesn't matter whether it's hot or not, because chances are you spend 8 or more hours a day, probably closer to 10 or 11 hours a day, away from that house anyway. Why would you want to show back up there on Saturday to have to mow lawn? Not to say anything about lawn. Hey, if you love lawn, go do it, right? Go do it. If that's your best life, if you feel about lawn like I feel about disc golf, then mow your lawn, right? But that's the ticket. It comes down to how does it feel? It comes down to how you feel when you wake up in the morning. Are you waking up energized? Is there something in your life that you look at it and you go, yeah, we're almost there. I'm okay grinding this sucky job out for another year because we're almost there. This is cool. That's what it's about. And it covers the gamut of your life, whether you want a great relationship, whether you want a great employment experience, whether you want to be financially secure, maybe you want to experience things. There are things you love and you just haven't had time to do them. The point is, go after that feeling. Go after those things that enlist that feeling in you, that inspire you, and give you the energy to face the struggle. And I guarantee you'll get there. I guarantee, as I'm sitting here right now, that just like I've done, you will be able to say in a year, hell yeah, he's right. I spend more time now feeling great about the things I do than I ever have, and the only thing I can do, and there's nothing stopping me from continuing. So keep that in mind. I hope you'll keep checking it out. Please be sure to share. I'm struggling. I'm working to get this thing out to you, not because I want something from you, but because I'm trying to give you something. So keep that in mind. And as always, just remember, today's your day. Make it a good one.